Hi, I'm Dr. Herman here. I've got a patient of mine. This is Jordan.
Hi, I'm
Okay.
Jordan.
And you come to my clinic in South Florida from Oklahoma,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is your second visit with me,
Yes.
right? You followed one protocol. Okay.
Mhm.
You suffered with a diagnosis of,
I had POTS, and then I had digestive system problems because I had a lot of reflux, and I always felt sickly all the time. And then I got to where I was so tired that I felt like I couldn't function or go to work, and I like my job, I like to work, and basically when it got to the point that I felt like I couldn't go to work anymore or do what I normally do, I kind of felt like that was enough. I'd been to the doctor several times and hadn't got any help whatsoever. Um, and then my dad sent me a video of this office, uh, and I watched some of the videos, and I was so impressed, and I thought that, you were very knowledgeable and you knew what you were talking about. I mean, you didn't just sit there and say, okay, let's try this, or let's just, you know, let's see how you do on this, and then come back in a couple of weeks, you know. So that's kind of why I came here.
okay. The doctors, you were suffering with POTS syndrome symptoms for how long before you came here?
Probably about a year.
A year.
And that was when I was trying to figure out, doctors couldn't figure out what really was my problem or what was going on. And then
And they ran various tests.
Yeah, they ran
did a
various
heart
tests.
EKGs, and they ran blood tests.
And then I wore a heart monitor for a month, and it showed several times that my heart was racing, but, they told me it really wasn't nothing to worry about, that I had postural orthostatic tachycardia with syncope, and which is, I guess, POTS.
Right.
But
They started you on some medications.
they started me on some medications, and I started taking them. And I thought I could tell a little bit of a difference, maybe just a tad bit, but nothing was really helping, and I was kind of, honestly, it made me feel depressed. It made me feel like I was kind of worthless, coming from, working all the time, being a hard worker. I like to work, and then not being able to hardly function and feeling like I want to stay in bed all the time. That's not a very fun feeling or way of life, I guess, to live.
So, and you came here, and you were also, I'm sorry, back, one more thing, early on when you were in middle school, you also had asthma, right? You were on an inhaler for a couple of years, 1 to 2 years or so?
Oh yeah, and that's another thing. Yeah, I had asthma and allergies for the longest time, and they always put me on inhalers, but really, honestly, it never really did a whole lot. I take my medicine like I'm supposed to, but it never really did a whole lot for me.
I mean, it didn't relieve the symptoms. It
Yeah.
didn't get you on and help you function better.
Right.
And the other was you were on 10 to 15 years before coming here, you were on antacids for the acid reflux, right?
Yeah, and I took that medicine for a long time, and even though I took it, it didn't really alleviate anything. I still felt sickly. There was times that I'd wake up and feel like I was going to throw up, and that kind of sucks too.
Sure,
So,
sure. And with your POTS, with standing up, it was every time you stood up, heart was racing. And you also reported to me you felt like passing out
right.
sometimes. So that was not good, and definitely not good. Your fatigue level in the beginning, which will report her improvements that she's experiencing after the first protocol with me. Your fatigue level was on 0 to 10. 10 was the worst. 0 means no fatigue, means great energy. 10 is the worst fatigue. You were a level of 8 before we started care. And I'm just going to list some of the symptoms here, and you'll tell me and tell people here your difference in these, okay? So one of your symptoms was a chest tightness, right? That was constant for you before we started care?
Yeah.
And that was going on for about a year?
It had actually been longer than a year for that part, like the asthma and the chest tightness. and just, you know, feeling crappy as far as that part is.
How much reduction in the chest tightness, how much improvement would you say when it comes to that tight chest feeling?
Well, honestly, I would say there's a big improvement. I think like I told you before, 40% or 50%, somewhere in there, that, you know, I feel like I can actually get up out of my chair and walk somewhere and do something without feeling like, oh, I need to sit down, or I'm tired, or, you know, I feel like I'm going to pass out. So
That's not happening now.
I don't feel
you were
that
saying
way.
that you could walk from the house to the car that you couldn't do before.
Yeah. And that's been a big improvement too. Like ever since I've came here, and I was kind of nervous at first because I wasn't really sure about, you know, what was going to happen, or what, you know, just from watching the videos, I wasn't really sure what the protocol was or what you guys did. But honestly, after I started taking my protocol and I got all my medicine and stuff in, and then they give you a list of foods and stuff that you're supposed to avoid or eat while you're taking this protocol, I honestly, I can't believe how much of a difference it's made, because coming from a place that I felt like I was tired all the time, you know, I really felt kind of worthless, and I couldn't hardly do my job. And for me, that's kind of a big deal. You know, it's just, I can't believe how much better I feel since I've taken these remedies, and just the improvement itself. It's been very amazing, because I wouldn't have thought that I just really never thought that I would get back to feeling the way I was, you know, before I had all these symptoms. So it's been pretty good since I've taken those.
Excellent.
So.
I'm going to list a couple of other symptoms, if that's okay with you.
Mm.
You said, in addition to the chest tightness, which are about 40-50% relief from that, you also said the heart palpitations. How much improvement from the heart palpitations, from standing up and the heart racing?
Probably 30 to 40%.
And the out-of-breath feeling you had, how much improvement?
That one is probably, I'd say, 40 to 50% better.
Okay. The hurt, you also had a symptom of, it hurt to breathe, is what you put in your letter to me.
And that was kind of a constant, all the time thing, even if I'd sit down and stuff, and I can feel such an improvement in that.
Is that there anymore?
It's not as much as it was. I've noticed a big difference in that. Like, I feel like I can actually get up and function, and my chest don't hurt.
Your fatigue level was an 8 prior to care. Now what's the worst and what's the best? The worst now, what's the best?
Probably the worst is maybe a 5, and, you know, probably the best is between a 2 and a 3. 'Cause there's a lot of times that before I would feel so tired, like just being at work, it was hard to stay awake, and our job is physically demanding. So, you know, I'd go to work and all I'd feel like was going back to bed and not even getting up and doing anything, and that's just not me. So when I started taking these remedies, and they basically helped me, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but just in a sense that I could stay awake better, and I didn't feel like I was going to go to work and fall asleep. And so that's a lot better.
You said you had a shaky feeling.
Yeah, I felt shaky all the time. And, you know, I kind of thought maybe it was just because I didn't eat at certain times, but it wasn't. I mean, even if I'd eaten stuff, I'd feel shaky, tired. It's just a weird feeling. And especially for me, I guess all these symptoms to me is, you know, everybody had kind of, the way I feel about it is, everybody that I had visited for the doctors had kind of, well, you're young, you know, I don't see anything wrong with you. Well, that's not necessarily the case. I mean, obviously I had something going on with me, and they weren't, all they do was, here, let's try this prescription and we'll see if this works. And I was tired of that. I had been to the doctor several times and no, really basically no relief. I even visited a neurologist, and, you know, he told me I had POTS, but he just said, oh, well, it's nothing to worry about at your age, you know, it's just, you know, it's just something that if it gets worse, just come and visit me. And I thought, okay, so I'm just supposed to deal with this stuff and go on. And
You were bad
I mean,
enough. That's
I
what
already
rushed
felt
it.
crappy, so yeah.
Your other symptoms, so the shakiness is better by how much, percentage-wise?
By probably a lot. I think I told you like 60 or 70%.
You said getting out of bed was a problem before.
Yes.
How much improvement
I am an
there?
early riser, and ever since I had these issues going on, I couldn't hardly get out of bed. I didn't want to wake up. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to get up and get ready in the mornings. And since then, you know, I can actually get up in the mornings, function, and I would say probably 40 to 50% better.
The dizziness problem. How much improvement with that?
That's actually a really big one, because the dizziness, I basically had it every time I stood up or went to do anything. My job requires a lot of physical labor, so when I would go to do anything, well, actually, I worked for the water department, and so we would do leaks or work on people's meter, whatever, you know, and just any kind of little, like, digging a hole or just any kind of small thing, you know, people take for granted the normal things that they do until something actually happens, and then it's like, wow, you know, I did not realize how important things were until I ended up getting sick, and it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much my life has changed since I've gotten sick, you know. I mean, who really wants to have somebody, I mean, I just felt like I had to have somebody, in a way, I guess you might say, help me function during the day and stuff. I just felt like I couldn't do a lot of stuff for myself. You know, I don't feel that way by far anymore. I just can't believe that. I mean, you know, and it wasn't very long after I started taking my remedies that I started to feel so much better. And I was just amazed, because I thought, well, you know, it's taken me a year to go see all these doctors that haven't gave me any kind of answers, and then all of a sudden I came here, and it wasn't very long, and I was feeling a lot better. So
You even said your mother saw you. She could tell.
yeah, I think after the first couple of times I seen my mom, she was really worried about, you know, what I had going on, and I was out of breath a lot of times, like just walking from me to the door sometimes would be enough to make me out of breath and tired, which is crazy. But then she seen me and she's like, I just can't believe how much better you are. Like, you're not breathing so hard. That makes me feel so much better, you know. And I thought, wow, you know, it's kind of unbelievable that it's like that. I'm very happy.
That's awesome. You said there were a couple of other points. You had stomach aches, and I think you said those were gone.
Yeah, since I've started taking the remedies and following the protocols, I have had so much luck with not having stomach aches anymore. I don't have the indigestion I have anymore, had anymore.
And you don't need to take the antacids anymore.
Yeah, and before, I think I was taking several different medicines, and I have quit all of my medicines except for 2 of them. But
those
that's
two
a
are,
tremendous.
But those two are.
But they
not,
are
not POTS related, not
not
indigestion
pot related
or asthma related.
Yeah,
these are for other things that you're doing for your body.
Yeah.
One is,
One is birth control, and the other one is for anxiety and depression.
okay, so it's not POTS, and it's not indigestion, and it's not asthma, so all
Yeah.
those, okay. And your memory is improved, you said?
Yeah, I can remember things a lot better now. Before, I just things that, I mean, so I could talk to somebody and forget totally what they were telling me about and talking about. And now I have so much better recollection of things. I can actually have a conversation and remember what we've talked
That's
about.
incredible.
So,
And there was no brain exercises, you just took some simple remedies. simple
Yeah.
thing. And you said one more thing was standing up for long periods of time was causing you a problem
yeah,
prior to coming in.
before I came in, it was hard to just stand up, even for, a minute or two. I felt like I was so tired that I needed to sit down in a chair, which is very strange for me because I'm just a doer. I like to do things. I stand a lot, and when that happened, it just kind of goes back to the thing is I had some major problems going on, and I am so happy that I came here, and that's probably been the best thing I think that's happened to me since I've gotten sick was making the decision to come here. And I live, quite a ways away from here, so obviously I have to fly here, but honestly, I kind of feel like, why should you live your life and not feel very good when you can, I mean, I was just ready to get something that would make me feel better, and I honestly did not feel like myself. So they've helped a lot by coming here, and I'm starting to feel like myself more and more all the time.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Sure.
Excellent. So you can, is there anything else that you want to share? I don't want to cut you off. You're doing a great job. I think you covered everything. And we'll see with more improvement when we go through another round, because we're going to get into the next exam with you today. And I will do my best to make a video about some of the findings from my exam with her, what kind of protocols she went through. But you can see from this real live person that this is real, that she is speaking on behalf of the benefits that she's experienced from this unique work that I offer. And you can call our clinic. You can get better from POTS, even when your great neurologist or cardiologist or any of these other physicians that you're seeking care from are not helping you. You can get better. You can reduce the meds and even get off of the medications that you're taking. We are going to be working on some of the anxiety issues with her as well and see about getting that better, and I believe that we can get that done for you and get you to get off of that med at the right time.
Okay.
But you can call our clinic here. The number is 954-370-3100. That's 954-370-3100. And you can even email my clinic assistant, who can help you schedule an appointment here to come into my clinic. I'll put the email address at the bottom of the screen here. You can get well. Here's another living proof, real live testimonial share from a person who was suffering terribly for well over a year, and even for other things in her past history prior to the POTS diagnosis or POTS symptoms. She's had relief of those, and it's just amazing that we can get the job done. Again, call my clinic at 954-370-3100 or email my clinic assistant. We can help you, and I look forward to helping you too.
And he's good. He's the best choice to make. I guarantee you, I don't regret coming here. So, it's worth it.
Thank you.